So every reliever in the Mets bullpen has pretty much had their moments, some a little bit more than others. Edwin Diaz, he's been incredible 90% of the time. Drew Smith, he surrenders a lot of hard contact, but great strikeout stuff all around. Seth Lugo, he's been kind of equally good and bad. He's just not the same guy from 2019. Adam Ottavino, disgusting stuff, but extremely annoying to watch. He's been great for the most part. Then you have Trevor May. He struggled a lot to start off the year, but was most likely hurt. He's been out for a while. Colin Holderman, rookie with explosive stuff. He's been great in a small sample, but he also got hurt. Joely Rodriguez, great stuff. Soft contact god, but he just walks way too many batters to trust him. Jason Shreve, he started off great, but he has completely fallen off a cliff. Could possibly get DFA'd. Other arms that we had, Yohan Lopez, Adonis Medina. Trevor Williams has been in and out of the bullpen and the rotation. Sean Reed-Foley underwent Tommy John surgery. We won't see him for a while. Jake Reed and Steven Nagosic have also had some small samples with this team this year. As a whole, the Mets bullpen has been fine overall, but the shortcomings are frequent enough to possibly add and improve this area on the roster. So we each have 3 relievers, 6 in total, that can possibly improve the Mets bullpen.
Me, as the casual rhino that I am, I'm going to pick more of the mainstream kind of big market guys who have the good ERAs and more well-known guys. Mets fan will bring the analytical darlings, maybe the hidden gems, maybe this year's Addison Reed type level reliever. But, he has either gets a lot of ground balls or doesn't walk anybody.
Say no to walks. Say no to walks, folks.
I will start with Colorado Rockies, right-handed 36-year-old Daniel Bard, former first-round pick back in 2006 via the Boston Red Sox. 8 seasons in the big leagues, a career 3.82 ERA and 327 games pitched. Just this year, pitching in Colorado, which we all know, where pitchers go to die, he has had the opposite effect. In 26 games played this season, 27 in the third innings pitched. Strikeout percentage of 31.5%, walk percentage 11.7%, and a ground ball rate at 53.3%, a 1.98 ERA, and a FIP 3.17. But Daniel Bard, fastball, throws about 98, has the curveball and a slider. A cheap arm, I would maybe fill that 7th inning role, maybe partner up with Drew Smith and put ahead of Seth Lugo.
One thing I really do like about Bard is that he's a huge barrel suppressor. The problem is that he does have some command issues, and that's something that I don't really like. Again, we need to say no to walks. But other than that, he keeps the ball on the ground, which I really do like. What realistically would this take for the Mets? What do you think?
We are talking about the Rockies, and they did give up Nolan Arenado and $50 million to get rid of their best players. Depending if there's interest from other teams, it could be as low as potentially a player to be named later or cash. Maybe a low-level prop, maybe not somebody out of the top 15. But the Rockies have showed you in past seasons they're horrible at asset management, so you could fleece them for nothing.
Desmond Lindsay?
No. Next. Hate that guy.
First guy for me is David Robertson. He's a little bit older than you'd like him to be. He's 37 years old. He's currently with the Cubs. Has some mileage on his arm, but he's never been one to throw that hard, kind of in the mid-90s. His big thing is spin manipulation. His cutter, knuckle curve, slider, all rest between that 26 to 2700 RPM. Now, this helps him pretty much dominate the zone and manage contact with a 53.8% ground ball rate and a 20.8% hard hit rate. He's having a career year. He has struck out 33.7% of batters in 24.2 innings pitched. My favorite thing about him is the high leverage numbers. 73.9% ground ball rate, 8.7% hard hit rate, 56.4% strikeout rate, and he stranded 98.7% of base runners this season in high leverage. The only problem that he does have is walks, and for the kids that know how to play the game right, we say no to walks. That's only really been a real problem for him just this season, and he hasn't really been doing it in these high leverage situations that the Cubs are putting him in, and that's pretty much what I'm looking at for David Robinson, a high leverage arm.
And wouldn't it be funny if we get this guy and then he actually wins a World Series in a Mets jersey instead of a Yankee jersey? That'd be pretty fun. Maybe Yankee fans, watch him spin that curveball, get out of a big jam in like the 9th, 7th inning of a World Series game against the Yankees. God, would that be fun?
Obviously, the Cubs are going to be looking for prospects here because we know that the Cubs are trying to load up their asset capital. Coming from the GM standpoint, what do you think that this would take?
It also depends what else they're willing to trade. There is an asset that the Mets might have interest in from the Cubs that maybe have him being a throw-in, kind of like a Javi Baez trade last year where there's a big piece. This could be the secondary. But I think if you're just talking strictly David Robertson, you could be looking at like I wouldn't say Budo levels of prospects, but maybe that next tier below the Budos.
Is this in your realm of Hayden Senger type of guys?
Yeah, I would say maybe a little higher. Again, just like anywhere from a top 20 prospect, but a quality, anywhere from that 15 to 25 range. I could say maybe bundle one of those two guys. I'm looking maybe a Jalen Palmer, maybe Robert Dominguez, Hayden Sen. Again, like that next.
And the
guy.
Cubs were talking about how they liked Jalen Palmer last year, right? There was something about how the Cubs liked Jalen Palmer. So
I just thought of a really good trade idea. Nick Dini for David Robertson. It's a great trade right there.
Respect Nick Dini. All right, that's our future backup catcher.
My next guy, my number 2 reliever on the board, and that is a guy we could have signed for free, but obviously if you've watched any of my content, you know me, I give a multi-year deal for relief pitchers, and that is 32-year-old left-handed reliever Andrew Chafin. If you look at his numbers this year, 23 games played, 18 and a third innings pitched, a 31.2 strikeout percentage, a 5.2 walk percentage, only a 2.04 FIP. Obviously had the big season last year with splitting time with the Cubs and the A's. Obviously, Joely Rodriguez and Chase and Shreve have not done the job for the Mets as that left-handed reliever out of the bullpen. Chafin's a guy that the Mets had interest in getting last year. He also is not a full-on rental. He has a player option for $6.5 million next year. So you could see this as a rental, but also could see it as having him next year.
Let's talk about a man from Texas that not really many people talk about, Brett Martin. Now, 27-year-old southpaw, ground ball specialist, huge barrel suppressor. He loves his curveball mixed with his sinker, slider, and the occasional fastball. Big swing and miss guy, only vulnerable when he misses that intended spot, which is actually very rare. He's got great command of his breaking and off-speed stuff. Now, he has not had a fantastic eye-popping year to the traditional audience, is more of a quantity more than quality. You probably can attach another reliever along with it. As the main guy to replace Chase and Shreve, who has just been completely awful, he would be the main guy to do that, just full-on value-wise. And that's what I'm thinking about with Brett Martin.
Who?
Brett Martin. Respect him.
10-day contract player again. I get your dad's an Ace fan, so you have the same mindset of him. We aren't in the business of getting these moneyball, dirt cheap merch. Why are we going to settle for some no-name jabroni playing for a god-awful team in the Texas Rangers that if you ask 1 million people, I'd say maybe 5 of them even know who this man is.
Is the lack of jersey sales?
Exactly. Do the Dodgers have any of these 10-day contract players in their bullpen?
Because they turn them into good pitchers.
We don't have a pitching factory, so we need good pitchers from the
We do have a pitching factory. It's ran by Jeremy Hefner.
But to be honest, Jeremy Hefner's kind of overrated. I mean, we give him good pitchers, and they think he's a good pitcher.
Stop speaking ridiculous.
One.
Stop with this crap.
Name one
Please.
reliever or starter that he's developed. Exactly.
Who? Thomas Sapucki? That's the guy you're banking on to say that Jeremy Hefner's overrated? You're a moron. All right.
Speaking of going back to my side, the actual good people at the baseball don't need to be developed by a Hefner.
Fantastic command and great stuff, and this guy needs to be developed.
Here's the deal. The Pirates suck, like I've said. They're years away. 2 more years to control. It's ARB in 2024. It's 2 minor league options, but who really cares? You're not sending this guy down. This season, 33 and 2/3 innings pitched, 36% strikeout rate, 6.3 walk percentage, a 30% ground ball rate, ERA 1.34. This is also the fact of the Mets, if they're going to use Edwin Diaz like they did in LA, you need a backup closer, and that cannot be Seth Lugo. No, David Bednar should be. The problem is he's going to cost an arm and a leg. I brought up potentially a bundle trade. Obviously, we've got a huge pending UFA in center field, and the Pirates have a pretty good switch hitting center fielder who has team control for next year as well as this season, and Brian Reynolds. If you want to make a big blockbuster trade, which I don't know if the Mets would, we don't know what the Mets' plans are at the deadline. They want to add pitching. That's for damn sure.
All right, you said this was going to cost an arm or a leg. Now, if you were to include Bednar and Reynolds, what are you sending back?
Start with Ronnie, because obviously, but also I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, the Pirates wouldn't want a shortstop." O'Neal Cruz isn't staying at shortstop. He's 6'8". He's not going to be playing shortstop his whole career. I'm throwing in Matt Allen, and that's the starting point. You're probably going to have to add maybe a Khalil Lee, maybe Jalen Palmer or Carlos Cortez level, and then we'll see if they want any of the big league guys. Maybe they take a flyer on Dom Smith. Maybe they take a flyer on a J.D. Dave. But he's the guy that I would do everything possibly I can to get that 1B behind Diaz, because then it takes the pressure off Lugo. And hell, it takes pressure off Drew Smith, because Drew Smith can just go to the 7th inning now.
I mean, we look at it, if the Mets want to actually go all in, we all know that Ronnie Mauricio is the biggest trade asset, considering that Beatty and Alvarez are pretty much untouchable at this point. I mean, do you think that this is the final piece, whether it's the lineup or the bullpen? Could this actually push them over the edge, especially when everyone's healthy?
He fits in perfectly in this lineup, because when he's going well, he's going to hit his singles and doubles, but he also hit for power, and it also gives you another switch hitting bat in this lineup. I think David Bednar is the best reliever on the market, which, again, you're talking about relievers. They flip and flop, year to season by season. If you're trying to win this year and he keeps pitching like this year, and he's had 2 straight years in the big leagues, nobody's talked about him because he's been in Pittsburgh. He's going to be that prime piece that the contenders who really want to win a World Series, he's the kind of piece you put in this bullpen.
I like Bednar. I really do like him a lot. And what I really do like about this is that we've talked about this before with our bullpen. We have a lot of pending free agents coming up. This guy's under control. Maybe he could be a huge future piece. And again, it's Pittsburgh, so who the hell knows? Maybe we only give up, again, a Desmond Lindsay for this.
If I hear that name one more time, I'm going to kidnap your dog and hold him hostage.
Nah. See, you're not as smart to do that. I'm sorry.
I'm a rhino. I don't need to be smart. I need to just charge.
Now, my last guy, it's a pipe dream, but I have to bring his name up. And he does play for a divisional team, so I doubt this is going to happen, but I'm going to put the name out there. Richard Bleier. He could be possibly the most annoying reliever to face in high leverage. Ground ball god at a consistent 55% rate. He has a 86.5% ground ball rate in high leverage this season. He has this over-the-top and stiff delivery as a lefty, but he walks no one, spams the strike zone with ridiculous off-speed stuff, and pretty much near pinpoint command. This guy will fuck up your launch angle like it's a horror story from Vietnam. He has one mission, and that's to just piss you off, grind you until you break, as Chris Bassett would say.
I'm all for adding another lefty. There was another lefty that we left off this list. Maybe if you guys like, we'll bring up part 2, and he'll be on that list. He's in below Chafin for me, but again, a quality lefty, which again, the Mets desperately need. Joely. If Joely is the third maybe lefty on this roster, would be good. Second definitely is the second lefty. I would take it, and stuff like that. So again, I don't hate it. I wouldn't mind it. But again, you're talking about an in-division trade, and Kim Ang didn't want to trade us Adam Duvall last year. So
the man's nasty. I mean, is it possible that if you strike out on Bednar, do you think that they're going to probably take advantage of us since we are a division rival?
He is not in the same realm of a possible trade packages with Bednar. It's not even close. He'd be more in the Chafin range. I know how much you love him. He's 35, so he's in the same ballpark as everybody else we've talked about in this video. He shouldn't call a top 10 prop, but he's under team control, like you said. He is left-handed, but I think anyone from maybe a guy in the top 15 and then maybe a couple lower-end guys.
Yeah, so that was pretty much my plan with this. I think I wanted to stack the lefties and maybe kind of create this kind of thing where the Dodgers always have 4 to 5 lefties available in that bullpen.
I think that idea is going to be more flexible in the offseason with guys like Ottavino, Lugo. Again, like I said, all our guys are under contract this year. I think there's only 2 bullpen spots open for the Mets at the deadline. Meaning,
I think there's 8. Diaz and everybody else sucks.
Yes, but again, you have to live in a reality world. You fill out the bullpen. Obviously, Diaz and Smith, they're not going anywhere. Then you're looking at Lugo and Ottavino. So there's 4. I think if they add a starter, Taijuan Walker goes to the bullpen. There's 6 relievers. You got 2 spots left. Could one of those go to David Peterson? Then you're only got 1 bullpen spot. Are you going to DFA William and take the chance you lose him for nothing? The most productive way is to trade Taijuan Walker. Whatever. But yet you want to.
That sounds cool. So our next video is Taijuan Walker trade packages. All right. Stay tuned, folks.
Get them for a pulled pork sandwich and a side of brisket.